Hello, today I'm reading chapter 23, Ray X, female listener of Out of Touch, Out of Time. I hope you enjoy. Chapter 23, Facing Mom. It was the next day at Gracefield, and all the children were outside. You were giving the small children piggyback rides. My turn! Me next, Yasmin! No, it's my turn next! The children shouted as you ran across the grass with Yvetta on your back. It's Phil's turn next! You shouted as all the children cheered. Ray stood further away with a camera as he took a picture of you with all the children. He smiled at your silly actions and held the picture in his hand. After he took the photo, you ran up to Ray, Emma, Norman, Don, and Gilda stood behind the pair. Let's review the plan, Norman said. During the free time after lunch, I'll distract Mom. Meanwhile, Yasmin, Emma, and Norman will go climb the wall to inspect the outside surroundings. Don and Gilda will stay outside by the second floor, south window of the house. Stay alert. I'll signal to you if I fail to distract Mom, Ray said, leaning against the wall. And that's when you tell the others to cancel the inspection. According to our plan, there's 6 days left, but we do have an extra spare 2.5 months until I get shipped out. So if things go wrong, we can bail. We do everything in secret and pretend to be controllable, Ray said. You're not really gonna get shipped out, right? The plan has a good chance of being successful, you ask. I'll be fine. The plan should work smoothly. This is just the worst case scenario, Ray said, trying to lighten your thoughts as you nodded. Don, you should come play with us, Phil shouted. Gilda too, Chris shouted from across the yard. Sure, who's up for some tag? Don asked, running to the children, followed by Gilda. Ray, we need to talk to you, Norman said. What? Krone found out we know how to break the tracking devices? Ray asked. At this point, the four were in the boys' bedroom discussing the conversation they had with Sister Krone in private. You, Emma, and Norman nodded. We should move up the escape. How soon can you break them? Norman asked. Ray sighed and picked up his camera, clicked the button, and took a picture of the three. Ah! What was that? Emma asked, covering her eyes. Norman laughed at her action. Oh, it's a camera. Ray already showed it to me, you said with a smile. You walked up beside Ray and took a look at the photograph he had just taken. With this, I have all the pieces I need, Ray said, handing the camera to Norman. I can break them whenever I want, Ray said, looking down at the picture. Ray started laughing as the picture revealed itself. Yasmin, look at your face, and Emma's, he said, mocking the two, who pulled surprised faces in the picture. You just giggled as Emma walked up to the pair. Hey, that's mean, Emma said. This is quite a double-edged sword, isn't it? Are we going to break the tracking devices and escape first, or is Krone going to turn us in and find evidence before that? Norman asked. Don't worry, I've handled it, Ray said with a smirk. Meanwhile, Sister Krone was in her room, sat on her bed with her terrifying doll. I wonder, why did they pretend not to know? They knew exactly where the location was and how to break them. But how did they even find them in the first place, actually? How do they know how to break them? Are they going to use a special tool? They could have made something. Surely not. If that was the case, that could be the evidence that I need. Is that why they were scared and lied to me? Well, I guess it's time for me to start searching, Sister Krone said to herself with a big smile. While Ray, you, Norman, and Emma were all in the dinner hall preparing lunch, Krone walked quickly down the hall to the boys' bedroom, humming a tune. She walked over to Ray's bed and opened his dresser to find her evidence. Nothing, she said to herself. She looked under his pillow and his blanket, and then looked under his bed. Nothing, she said, and now in an annoyed voice. What are you doing? A small voice asked, making Krone turn around. It was Phil, standing at the door with a smile. I'm just cleaning the floors, Sister Krone said with a nervous smile. Oh, okay, Phil said before skipping down the hall. As soon as Phil left, Sister Krone moved Ray's bed and then the dresser to reveal a small piece of paper on the floor behind the dresser. Krone picked it up and opened it. Her eyes widened as she got up from the floor and ran to her bedroom. Found it. The truth. How could something like this be? This note from Ray to Isabella, Krone said, twirling in a circle as she laughed. This is so unexpected. Isabella's second weakness. How should I go about this? If I show this note to Grandma, I wonder if I can obtain Isabella's position as mom. I could ship those brats out. But how does Ray know about this? Because Isabella herself shouldn't even be aware of it. Krone walked to her bed and sat on the edge of it. A knock was heard at the door, making Krone gasp. Krone ran to her suitcase and stuffed the letter into it. She slowly opened the door to reveal Isabella standing there with a letter and a small knife. She handed the items to Krone. This is from headquarters. You should open it, Isabella said with a sly grin. Krone opened the letter and read it fast. As soon as Krone finished, she gasped. It's a shame it has to be this way. This is goodbye, I guess, Isabella said, bowing her head. Number 18684, Sister Krone, we have appointed you to be Mom of Plan 4? I'll be a mom? Krone said, looking at Isabella. Yes, Isabella said, answering with a nod. There was a sudden opening at Plant 4 for a mom. I've been recommending you for a while now. This is why you were given the opportunity. Isabella said, crossing her arms. You recommended me? Krone asked. Grandma is waiting for you at the gate, Isabella said, closing her eyes. Pack up your things immediately and go to headquarters. Immediately? Krone asked. Goodbye. Please do your best at Plant 4, Isabella said with a smile. Krone stood there in disbelief. What's wrong? You don't look pleased, Isabella asked. No, this is an honor. I'll pack right away, Krone said nervously. Isabella shut the door and left. As soon as Isabella's steps grew fainter, Sister Krone fell to her knees. That woman wants to get rid of me, Krone said with anger, staring at the floor. A few minutes passed, and Krone was packing her suitcase. She took Ray's note out of the suitcase. I'm just gonna have to risk it, Krone said as she took out a silver pen from her suitcase and holding it into her hand. I refuse to let this go the way she wants. Isabella walked down the stairs to be greeted with Phil and Dela ringing a bell. Mom, it's time to eat. Where's Sister? Is she in her room? Phil asked with a smile. Not quite. She had work to do. We're fine to eat without her, Mom said as her eyes narrowed with a grin. Sister Krone walked through the house, leaving the silver pen. She then walked outside and down the grass hill with her suitcase in hand. As soon as she reached the gate, the metal bars began to lift. An older woman with gray hair in a neat bun in a black dress stood inside the gate. Grandma, Krone said, standing in front of the woman. I'd like to report something, Krone said, holding out the notes for the woman to take. I'm so hungry, the children said to each other. Huh? Where's Sister? Jemima said, looking at Krone's empty seat. Where do you think she is? Dominic asked. Mom said she had to go to work, Phil said. Ray glanced at Krone's seat with his eyebrows furrowed. Hey, Ray, can you help me serve the soup? This pot is really heavy, You say, struggling to juggle the massive pot and plates. Yeah, sure, he said, taking the pot from your hands.
What would you do without me? He teased.
I'd probably just ask Norman instead, you say.
Huh?
Ray asked. Meanwhile, at the gate, Grandma was reading the note as her hand was placed below her chin. I can see from this note and what you are saying is that there are 4 top scorers who know the secret, one of them being the special product? Grandma asked. And the 2 below them! Please believe me! Krone yelled. We need to take action. If we don't, then... However, they're still under control, aren't they? If they remain under control, this shouldn't be an issue. I think it's a good thing that the special product knows. It gives her a head start on her future. You see, Sister Krone, I can't have you getting in Mama Isabella's way. In case you didn't know, Isabella and her plants are quite special, and it's necessary to keep her here as my pawn. You are insufferent to replace her. You've become a problem, Grandma said, walking towards Krone. Krone gasped, her eyes widened. To offer the best dishes to Safari, everything at the farm must be best of quality, Grandma said as she walked back to her original position. Krone started to laugh loudly. I see. You guys were in it together all along. I had no chance of winning from the start, Krone said to herself out loud as she continued to laugh. A shadow of a demon appeared next to Grandma as the metal bars of the gate began to close, locking Krone inside. Krone turned around to be met with a massive demon with sharp claws. Back at the house, everyone was sitting at the table giving their thanks for the food. Thank you for the food, Mom said softly. Thank you for the food, everyone sang together. As soon as they finished, everyone began to eat their soup. Ray and you prepared earlier that day. This is amazing! The children cheered, making you smile warmly at them. I agree, Mom said with a smile. At the gate, Krone was looking around for any type of escape. The demon crawled closer to Krone slowly, which made her even more nervous. She put her back against the metal bars in order to get away from the demon, but failed. Krone took the small silver knife Isabella had given her earlier as self-defense, slashing it in the air, but it didn't work as the demon had sharp teeth and claws. It cornered Krone at the wall as Grandma watched from afar with an evil smile. Krone, who was now out of breath, was taken by the demon in one of its hands. In the other hand, the demon had a small white flower, drawing it closer to Krone's chest. A few moments later, the only noise that could be heard was the gut-wrenching screams from the gate. You brats better escape! You're all great at tag. Run away! Yasmin, you better escape too. Survive this and then destroy this awful world we live in, Krone said. As soon as she finished, her breath shortened, her eyes turned white, unlike the flower that was pierced into her chest, which was now a dark red. Thank you for the delicious food, the children sang. After lunch, Ray knocked on Mom's door. Are you ready to switch the chemicals? Ray asked. Mom smiled and nodded. Meanwhile, Emma, Norman, and you jumped over the small fence and ran towards the wall, while Dawn and Gilda stood near the window in case any trouble started. Please let this go smoothly, Gilda said. As Ray and Mom walked up the stairs, Mom stopped for a moment. I got rid of her, Mom said, making Ray turn around in disbelief. I eliminated Sister Krone, Mom said with a smirk. Ray's eyes widened as he realized what she meant. He sprinted up the stairs and slammed open the door to Sister Krone's room. He stepped inside and looked around for a moment, nervously in shock. Mom put her hands on Ray's shoulders gently. I didn't need her anymore, so I eliminated her. And you're next, Mom said, staring at Ray. What? Our deal is officially over as of now, Mom said, clapping her hands together. What? You're joking. You need me. I was helping you, right? You were using me so you could stay in the shadows and control them indirectly, Ray shouted. Precisely, Mom said. I was doing a good job, Ray said, looking at the floor for a moment and then back at Mom. Yes, you were a useful dog. That's why I kept you by my side, despite the fact that you're a liar and a traitor, Mom said, making Ray gasp slightly. I can still be useful to you, though. That's not an issue, Ray argued. Yes, that's true. There is no fault with you. I know it's unfair. It affects me as well. I had planned to keep you around until the very end of all of this. But unfortunately, I had no choice, and the situation has changed, Mom said as she took out her tracker pocket watch. I'll be keeping them under control from now on. I'm sorry, Ray. Please forgive me for what I'm about to do, Mom said as she pushed Ray back, causing him to fall onto the floor. Then she locked the door, leaving him locked in the room alone. Mom! Ray yelled. Just stay in there for a while, okay? I'll be sure to let you out when I'm back, Mom said, holding the key in her hand for the bedroom. Ray got up and started kicking at the door, trying to break it down, but failed. Now, based off the speed of the 3 signals running through the forest, it must be Emma, Yasmin, and Norman. So, they're running through the forest over the fence towards the wall. I assume for inspection, Mom said as Ray started to punch the door. By the way, I'm not the least bit worried about the chemicals. I know you'll protect me for their sake. You won't get me killed. That's why when you suppress me, you'll use a different method. Goodbye, Ray. Thank you for everything you have done for me, Mom said as she walked away. Mom! Ray yelled, but received no answer. Damn it. Now I've got to get out of here, Ray shouted as he hit his head with his fist. He started kicking the door as hard as he could, but it wouldn't budge. I can't believe this, he said. Dawn and Gilda were watching from the window outside. This is weird. There's no signal, Gilda said. Yeah, Dawn said. So far so good, Dawn added. Suddenly, the door opened as Mom stepped outside with her pocket watch in her hand. She walked past Dawn and Gilda, giving them a stare. Wait, what's going on? Mom came out, but Ray gave us no signal. Dawn, what should we do? Gilda asked, worried. Stay here, I'll check it out, Dawn said as he ran inside the house. Inside the house, Ray was still kicking the door as hard as he could. Just open up already, he shouted out of breath. Ray, is that you? Dawn called from the other side of the door. Yeah, it's me, Ray yelled. Okay, hold on, Dawn shouted as he pushed the door with all his might. It still didn't move. Then Ray ran from the back of the room and ran up to the door, kicking it with all his strength, finally knocking it down. Are you all right? Ray asked Dawn. Yeah, I'm fine, but we gotta hurry up, Dawn said. Okay, let's go, come on, Ray said as he sprinted down the stairs out of the door, followed by Dawn. Gilda, let's go, Dawn shouted. Does that mean the plane's canceled? What do we do now? Gilda asked. The inspection is still on. We just have to stop Mom, Dawn shouted. Really? Gilda asked in shock. This is our only shot. We need to inspect the top of the wall before Mom gets to them, Dawn said, running after Ray, who was shortly followed by Gilda. Ray sprinted as fast as he could through the bushes and barriers, some even cutting his face. Emma, Yu, and Norman were already at the wall. Emma just grabbed the bag of ropes from inside the tree. The 3 started to inspect until they heard footsteps crunch through the leaves. Emma threw the bag into the bush, waiting for the arrival of the person who had followed them. Mom appeared from out of the bushes with the pocket watch in her hand. You trail off, your eyes wide. Hi, Mom. What, is something wrong? Emma asked with a fake smile as Norman and you joined in. 14 years. Mom started as she closed the watch in her hand. Emma tilted her head. That's how long we've all been living together for. But this is the first time we've all talked without any of us acting. Mom said as she put her hand on her heart. It's nice to meet you, Emma, Norman, and Yasmin, she said with a smile. Come on now. No need to look so worried. Relax. You don't need to act like good kids right now. There is nobody else around. Right now, it's just a caretaker and the kids who are meant to be eaten, she said with a smile, making the three gasp slightly. Mom closed her eyes for a moment. I must not be misunderstood. I do love all my children as if they were my own. That's why I'm here to tell you to give up, Mom said. You want us to give up? You asked, your hands turning into fists. Give up resisting. I love you all and I don't want you to suffer. This life is happy, isn't it? You get to live in a warm home filled with delicious meals and love. If you stay oblivious to the truth, then you can die feeling satisfied. Doesn't that feel like paradise? Mom asked with a smirk, making Emma's face turn very angry. That's what you think this is? This happy life you speak of is the same thing that ended Connie's life, you say in an angry tone, staring at Mom. Death happens in an instant. Until the moment Connie died, she lived a happy life full of love and smiles, Mom said. I don't need any fake smiles. We're going to live freely and decide happiness for our own, Emma said. Emma, Norman said, catching her attention, then shook his head, getting her to stop. Escaping is impossible, and it's dangerous outside, full of despair, Mom said as she put her hand out for Emma to take. Now, why don't we all go back to the house and continue to live a happy life together, like none of this ever happened? My greatest wish is for the 6 of you to live a happy life until your time, unfortunately, runs out. Mom continued, which made Norman's eyes widen. 6? Not 4? He asked. Atmosphere was silent for a few moments as you, Emma, and Norman looked at each other, as if you were communicating without speaking. Fine. You win, Mom. I'll stop being a good kid, Norman said with a smile, leaving Mom confused. Suddenly, Emma and you ran towards her. Go, Norman! You yell as Norman ran towards the bush where Emma threw the rope. You tackle Mom, followed by Emma. You two tried to hold Mom back until 2 loud cracks were heard. They echoed through the forest. You were the first one to let out a blood-curdling scream. Yasmin! Ray yelled as he ran faster, which was followed by Emma's scream, which was just as loud. And Emma? Gilda shouted as she followed Ray along with Dawn. Norman stood there in shock as to what he had just saw in front of him. Ray, Dawn, and Gilda finally arrived at the scene. You and Emma were being held in Mom's arms. What did you do? Ray yelled at Mom, rushing over to grab you. My arm! You were barely able to speak as you were in so much pain. Ray looked down at you in his arms. Your arm was brutally broken and your head was bleeding. Emma's leg was broken badly and swelling. How could you? Ray yelled at Mom. Shh, you're going to be okay, both of you. They're clean breaks, though poor Yasmin hit your head on a rock when you fell. Oh, poor things, my sweetest Yasmin and my adorable Emma. This is why I told you to give up. But it's nice for you to hug me for the first time in a while. Mom said, hugging Emma tightly as Ray helped you stand, the boy wrapping his arms around your waist, using it as a crutch for you. And you realized it quickly, Norman. I'm impressed. I control all of you till the very end, because you're different than most of the other children. You're special food that can only be eaten by a special person. The highest quality of children I've ever raised. That's why I have to protect you no matter what. Mom said as she wrapped Emma's leg in a cloth, then handing one to Ray to make a sling for you. You won't be able to move for a while, and I doubt Yasmin will be able to run with such a sore arm and head, which means I have no worries for tomorrow. Mom said as she softly rubbed Emma's face. Tomorrow? Ray asked nervously. Yeah, that's right. You can stay and celebrate with Emma and Yasmin. There was a notice from the higher-ups, so congratulations, Norman. Your shipment is set. Mom said, which made everyone gasp. Originally, I was going to ship Yasmin, but due to her conditions, I don't think it would be respectful to send her back to Peter and the higher-ups like this. Out of all things, a head injury would not be a good thing for them to see. Your eyes widened and Ray's grip around your waist tightened. Norman just stood there in disbelief. Norman's getting shipped out? Ray asked. His face was as white as a ghost. Yes, it's happening tomorrow, Isabella replied. I can guarantee Yasmin's arm and Emma's leg will heal up without even a scar, Mom said, lifting Emma into her arms as she stood up. But it will take a few months to do so. I do hope their injuries are healed before your birthday, Ray, Mom said, making Ray's face turn even more angry. Norman, give me that bag later. Now let's go back to the house, Mom said as she began to walk through the forest. Everyone walked back to the house, Emma being carried by Mom and you using Ray as a crutch. My head hurts really bad, you say, quietly rubbing where the blood came from. Just hold on a little longer. As soon as we get back, I'll fix it up for you, I promise, Ray said as you nodded. Eventually, the 7 made it back to the house. Oh no, Emma, what's wrong? Are you okay, Yasmin? Your head looks sore, the children asked. Don't worry, everyone. The girls just had a little fall, Mom said with a smile, though the older children didn't seem to be buying it. What are we supposed to do? Dawn asked Gilda and Ray, who were standing outside. Norman's getting shipped out. She took the rope. Not to mention, Yasmin has a broken arm and a concussion, and Emma can't move. Yasmin will be okay. So will Emma, and the rope can be replaced. The escape can happen. It has to. But Norman's our main focus right now, Ray said, annoyed. Out of all of us, why was he picked to be shipped out? And who's Peter? Does he know Yasmin? Gilda asked. They call her the special product. We can't figure it out because it's too tight of a secret. All we know is it has something to do with a connection to headquarters. And when Mom meant the situation has changed, she meant there was a new shipment placed, Ray said, leaning against the wall. She even got rid of Sister Krone, Gilda said, putting her hand over her mouth. It seemed like everything was normal this morning, right? She was smiling and doing her chores like she usually does. Now she's gone, and it's all because of Mom, Dawn said nervously. Ray got up from leaning against the wall and kicked the bucket that was lying around with anger. I'm going to see if Yasmin's feeling better, he said before he walked into the house. Meanwhile, back in the house, Emma was lying down on the bed in the infirmary with a cast on her leg. You were laying asleep next to her with a cloth on your forehead and a cast on your arm. Emma? Norman whispered, gaining Emma's attention. Emma looked up at the blue-eyed boy a few moments before reaching out to grab his hand. Norman smiled at Emma. "There's no need to worry. All she did was take the rope," Norman said. "But that's not the point. You don't have to get up on this just yet. Your leg will heal and so will Yasmin's arm." "No, Norman, I can't let you get shipped out." "You'll succeed in escaping." "You're coming too. You have to escape with us. We need you," Emma said with tears in her eyes. Norman gently placed Emma's hand on her bed. "See, I'll get you some water," Norman said, getting up from the chair. "Norman!" Emma called out to the boy, who walked off. Norman left. He walked down the hall and past Ray. "Is Yasmin awake yet?" Ray asked. "No, she got pretty bashed on her head. I'm surprised Mom didn't freak out." "You should go and sit with her," Norman said. Ray nodded and put his hand on Norman's shoulder. "We're escaping with you, Norman." "I'll find a way," Ray said before walking down the hall to you. Norman just sighed and walked to the tap. Ray creaked open the infirmary door. "Emma, are you awake?" he asked. "Yeah," she answered sadly. "How's your leg?" "It's been better." Ray nodded as he walked towards you, who were sleeping. He removed the cold cloth that was on your forehead that he had placed earlier. "I better replace this," he said as he went to the counter to grab a new one, gently placing it back onto your forehead. He took your hand and held it gently, rubbing his thumb over it. "I'm worried about Norman," Emma said as she sat up on the bed. "I'll come up with a plan, I swear. I just need some time," he said to Emma. She nodded in return. After a few minutes, Jemima ran into the infirmary, followed by Chris. "Hey, are you guys okay?" she asked. Emma had a sad smile on her face. "Yeah, a bit. What's that?" she asked, pointing at the 2 sheets of paper in Jemima's hand. "One is for you, and the other one's for Yasmin, whenever she wakes up," Chris said as he handed the cards with flowers that the 2 drew on it to Emma. "Thank you, guys," Emma said sadly. Jemima and Chris walked towards your bed and sat on it. "Hey guys, be careful, she's resting," Ray said. "Maybe you should kiss her and then she'll wake up, like in the fairy tales Yasmin loves," Chris said with a smile. Ray's face turned red. "It's not that kind of story, guys. She hit her head really badly, plus her arm is pretty sore," Ray said as he fixed the blanket on the bed so you would stay warm enough. "Here, give this to Yasmin when she wakes up," Jemima said, handing Ray a card. "All right," Ray said, holding the card as the 2 skipped out of the infirmary. Ray looked at the card for a few moments, and on the front was a picture of you in the princess dress and Ray in the cardboard armor that from the game that Jemima and Chris had made them play. Ray smiled at the card as he opened it to read, "To Yasmin, get well soon. We love you. We'll make sure that your prince looks after you. Love, from Jemima and Chris." Ray snickered at the scribbled writing inside the card and placed it on the bedside locker. As soon as he did so, you started to open your eyes and sit up. "Hey, lay down. You're pretty weak at the moment," Ray said, helping you get comfortable. You looked at the boy for a moment and noticed the few scratches that he got from running through the barriers and bushes earlier. You gently placed your hand on his cheek. "Your face has cuts on it. Are you okay?" you asked, barely able to stay awake. Ray laughed lightly. "I didn't even notice them. Your injury is so much worse," he said. You turned your head to Emma. "Are you okay, Emma? Where's Norman?" you asked. As soon as those words left your mouth, Norman walked through the door. Okay, thank you for watching this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back for chapter 24 tomorrow. Have a good day, night, evening, whatever. Love you guys so much. Goodbye.